What's up, everybody? Armchair Quarterbacks here for another Week 7 recap. This one we've got Dear Lord Baby Jesus versus Cut My Team Into Pieces. That is Mike with a score of 93.66 and Daniel winning it with a score of 113.56. So let's take a look at Mike's team here. Mike started Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, Christian Kirk, Christian McCaffrey, AJ Dillon, Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, and Curtis Samuel. What did you like from Mike's team this week?
Biggest takeaway obviously is CMC looks pretty healthy, so I don't even know if it's a pain tolerance issue at that point with his was his rib injury. But he got all the snap usage. He's fine. Scored a couple touchdowns there, receiving and rushing.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts, he finally had I won't say finally had a decent game, but he's been scoring low 20s, kind of like Patrick Mahomes. Was thinking that he would be scoring consistently a lot more than my Josh Allen, especially because Josh Allen, Sean McDermott has made a effort to kind of keep him in the pocket more and save his health. But Jalen Hurts, he still runs. He still does the brotherly shove, so he's expected more from him there against Miami, but 24 is decent.
Yeah, I think Miami's defense was just playing outstanding against Philadelphia. Besides the tush push, the Eagles are just almost 100% success rate on that.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
I would say in terms of fantasy, at least, to hold them to 24 points when they have the best offensive line, that's pretty solid. Especially because, was it Swift didn't have a touchdown? It was Kenneth Gainwell.
Yep.
And I believe AJ Brown.
Yes.
So he has a passing touchdown and then a rushing touchdown here. Not bad. I guess you could say Kenneth Gainwell kind of vultured one of his, but still a solid game here for sure.
See, we were talking about Christian Kirk earlier. How did you like Christian Kirk's usage this week?
Dude, look at this. 90 receiving yards, 6 receptions, touchdown to just add the cherry on top of the ice, the cake. And let's see. I really think that Christian Kirk is kind of the safety blanket and a favorite of Trevor Lawrence. We saw that last season. Everyone was expecting Calvin Ridley to do, to come in and be the new dude and to take over. And I remember these struggles and these up and down games with Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley because, if you're always dependent on those big plays, those stretch the field plays, that's very boom or bust. And it's good for fantasy because when you hit those, you'll take the variance. But you look at Christian Kirk, not only has he been pretty safe and consistent, but he's been putting up really good points too. So it's not just kind of low safe points. These are really, really good when you're weak points here with this consistency.
I agree. The only thing for me on here was the Cole Kmet dud, a goose egg here. Taking a look at, Justin Fields wasn't in this game. Who was it? Tyler Bagent, a rookie quarterback. We don't know how he was playing. There wasn't much history. He went undrafted, and he was a Division II player in college. So there wasn't really like a lot of scouting on him to see where he throws the ball, where he goes with it and everything. And Cole Kmet just didn't get any targets whatsoever.
Oh, I would say that Cole Kmet wasn't even needed. I think Pageant played just fine.
Yeah.
If you play against Las Vegas at this point, I have no idea what Las Vegas is doing for you. I mean, they have no direction at all. They have Josh Jacobs, as one of the podcasts I was listening to mentioned it earlier. Um, Las Vegas and Bronco fans smile on this because of Josh McDaniels and the hate there. But Las Vegas really has no, when can you say they're going to win a Super Bowl? They have.
Oh man, dude, I was so frustrated watching the Vegas game because we heard the squeaky wheel stuff with Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams.
He was frustrated. He got a lot of targets.
7 targets were.
Yeah, they were all Devontae Adams. But for me, the frustration was coming in where Brian Hoyer, just because he wanted to get the targets to Devontae Adams, he was forcing the ball to Devontae Adams, and it was like he was in double coverage. Nope, just throw it right to him. It didn't matter.
Well, I forget what analyst I was listening to, but basically they're critiquing Las Vegas for not really having a direction. Typically if you're rebuilding, okay, maybe in a couple years. If you're a contending team, you're 1 or 2 pieces away. You got it. The Raiders, they end up getting Devontae Adams because he wants to play with Derek Carr. So they have one of the, if not the best wide receiver in the league.
Yep.
And how does that work out? Then you have Josh Jacobs, one of the best running backs in the league. And you would think if your season is lost or you're not really contending for anything, why not look at the rookie that you have in Aiden O'Connell, give him some time, give him some reps, give him some experience. Instead you go with Brian Hoyer. Like what is Josh McDaniels even doing? Like, do you really need this win right now when you already know what's so,
yeah, and I think on the broadcast too, they even showed that Hoyer, in any game that he's started, he's been a career backup in the league for 12 years or something like that, and any game he started, it's been a loss. He's never had a winning game. Not that I can remember.
There's no point at this point. They're not contenders. They might as well, And so all this to point out that I would say Cole Kmet wasn't really needed here. Mikey also had DJ Moore here, but Deontay Foreman has been really going off, and he had I believe it was 3 touchdowns, 31. Right here. Daniel had him, so 31 points. It was pretty much keep it on the ground, and everyone is rushing against Las Vegas right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, DJ Moore, he did get saved with his usage, 9 targets, 8 receptions. The yardage not the best, but it's, you can only do so much with the quarterback that you have, and I don't think what's his name, Bagent, was throwing the deep ball too often.
I will say there's been a couple, there was a couple trade talks where I was trying to get CMC when he was, when it was looking more serious with his rib injury, and I've been talking to Mikey a little bit for Devontae Smith and some trades there, but man, I really don't know what do you think with Devontae Smith? He looks like he's just phased out at this point. Your Goddard's been getting a lot of stuff.
I think that's the thing. He's phased out because they have 3 receiving options plus a backup check down option in DeAndre Swift. So they have a lot of options to go through. So I think Devontae Smith being the wide receiver too, he's gonna have more inconsistency this year compared to last year or his rookie year.
He hasn't really had. I mean, he hasn't had those boom games though.
No,
like he's been consistent. Like I don't know at this point. I guess I don't know, man. I really don't know. With we thought they were going to get, especially against Miami. You thought you would have gone a squeaky whale game against Miami.
Yeah. Well, definitely, I know they've been looking to throw the ball to AJ Brown, because they traded for him. Who was it? Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts wanted to play with AJ Brown. He talked to the coaching staff to trade for him. So AJ Brown is his guy. I think they were together in college. I mean, I think Devonta Smith was there too, but AJ Brown was the guy, and he's a bigger player. And we said it in another recap. He's the safety blanket. He's the go-to guy.
Yep.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, at this point right now, I think you just keep riding Devonta Smith and hope he has an up game. But I think he's probably going to be maybe a low-end wide receiver too at this point, and then if you have a better option, you switch him out.
I was going to say, the interesting thing, if we look at his bench over here, we're kind of going along on this video, but there's a lot of interesting players here.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with Josh Downs?
That
was a random pickup that you and me both laughed at that and were like, okay, that's pretty solid, right?
Yeah.
Just for a pickup if you have that bench stash. But what do you do with that now that I believe it's when Josh Downs is on the field the same time that Michael Pittman is there, the accuracy and the more proneness for Josh Downs to get targeted, like his percentage goes up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So like it's really solid. Like what you would think it would be Pitt City getting that, but when they're both down there, I mean, Josh Downs has been really consistent targets.
Well, Michael Pittman, he's the bigger player. So, and that's where we get the point of, I think most defenders, they're going to want to take the bigger player because just like AJ Brown, if he goes off, he can go off,
Mm-hmm.
But that's unfortunately for Devonta Smith, it's not correlating for him because the ball's still going to AJ Brown. But for Josh Downs, the ball is going to him. And Gardner Minshew, he's not afraid to keep throwing it deep, even if he throws an interception. He's having an off game and he misses his players. He'll still keep throwing it deep. So I think that's what's helping him for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Gardner Minshew is like the young Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
He's going to be that journeyman backup dude that's just going to go out there and ball out for fantasy purposes.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I liked this pickup, Josh Downs pickup, because I won't lie. Right before Mike picked him up, I was actually looking at his stats. I was contemplating, should I pick him up? Should I? If I picked him up, who would I drop? So this was a pretty, as you like to say, savvy pickup for Mike.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we spent a lot of time on Mike's team. Let's move over here to Daniel's team, the winning team in this matchup. Daniel started this week Geno Smith, Chris Olave, Cooper Kupp, James Cook, Saquon Barkley, George Kittle, Deonta Foreman, and Zach Moss. So we already touched on Deonta Foreman a little bit here. Let's just take a look at his stat line really quick. He had 16 rushing attempts for 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had 3 receptions for 31 yards and a receiving touchdown. So obviously the 3 touchdowns, that's going to win you a week right there. This player, it was a good pickup because we didn't know Roschon Johnson's status, I think, up until, Sunday morning.
Yeah, I picked up Roschon a few weeks ago. I picked up Roschon Johnson because I thought he was going to be the play. And, there was news out today that he's trying to clear the last step now, which is good.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's going to finally practice.
Yeah.
But at this point, this might be an ugly RBBC at this point because, Foreman's carved out he deserves usage here at least in this point.
Yeah, definitely. So besides Deonta Foreman, what did you like with Daniel's team?
Big plus here, James Cook gets the touchdown there. Look at those 56 rushing yards, but 46 receiving yards. So very solid on the scrimmage yardage that day.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley, he looks pretty healthy now. The first game that he was back, they're trying to get him kind of acclimated, and they're still rolling with Matt Breida. And towards the end of that game, and they kind of needed it, I think Brian Dable just said, "What the hell?" and just threw him in and just gave him all the usage. So Barkley looks like he's back at least, albeit in a really bad offense. Kittle here tonight was pretty solid here with 10 points is really decent. You're just looking for a touchdown at this point, but
yeah,
with the the tight end wasteland 10 points is great.
Yep.
Um, Cooper Cup had a down game. Not too worried about that. Pittsburgh's defense is pretty decent. They have what was it, TJ Watt
And Minka Fitzpatrick.
and Mika Fitzpatrick. So they got some rushers there. They got some boys that could pretty get dogging on the defense. The one I would be a little worried about, and I was actually thinking about doing a trade offer for, was Chris Olave. Just ever since Alvin Kamara has come back, Derek Carr, I don't know if it's his health and his arm, or because Olave is still young, he's going to get open, but it's just been like check down after check down from Derek Carr to Kamara.
Yeah,
it's crazy at this point how many points Kamara is getting off of these cheap checkdowns, and it might not even be something that you want to focus on, because this is going to hurt New Orleans offense in the long run if that's all they do. Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is there was another thing that I noticed. We were talking about with Michael Thomas. He was pretty consistent with 8 points every game. And then in this game, 11.7 points. I'm looking at it right now. He had 3 receptions, not what his normal receptions were. He was averaging about 5 per game, but he ended up getting the touchdown look here. So that touchdown look, if that went to Chris Olave, I think that saves his day here.
Yeah, it saves his day, but I mean, I'm still not liking this offense right now. So I'm kind of, if I'm an Olave owner, I'm a little worried. Not necessarily because of the skill of your player or the ability to get open. It's mainly because of Derek Carr, either his health or either the fact that the offensive line is not protecting him enough. And at this point, he's relying on the check down. He's not even going through his first, his second, his third read. He's dumping it off straight away.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all of the above. Definitely, the biggest factor being health, and then the second biggest factor being the offensive line. So it's definitely a multitude of multiple factors. I think as the season progresses, because they do still have their bye week in week 11, so they can still get that rest. They have Indy and Chicago the next 2 weeks, so it's not like it's going to be a super tough matchup. But yeah, definitely we're not gonna see, I don't think, Chris Olave go off for 15 or more points in the next couple of weeks. Maybe after the bye week it might happen, but we'll see. Okay, let's take a look here. Daniel's bench, nothing left there. He had Jalen Warren scoring 9.6. That was one of those things we were talking about before with Jalen Warren versus Najee Harris. I think they were pretty much 50-50 in this game. So I think you can still hold on to Jalen Warren. What are you doing with Zach Moss? I saw that I think it was Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor. They were 50-50 on the timeshare this week.
Man, I mean, we've seen what Zach Moss, what kind of work he gets if it's just him. So Indy's not afraid to have that one, every down back, that type of usage. So I would say he's a great handcuff, which is kind of weird saying that. If you've played fantasy for the past several years, you've never really looked at Zach Moss as some great handcuff. But the way Indy has been playing this year, at least in terms of usage with their running, they've looked solid. So good news for Jonathan Taylor owners. They've really ramped up his usage, and especially after that contract, you're gonna expect him to get all the work. So Zach Moss right now is probably a handcuff at this point.
So not even a flex, just a hold on handcuff.
For me, I would say yeah, because we've already had a couple weeks for Taylor to get acclimated, and if they're used to this at this point, because I mean, what was the usage with Zach Moss versus Jonathan Taylor? I mean, they've increased it, so Jonathan Taylor's is the dude, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was just off of 50-50. I think Taylor had a little bit more usage than Zach Moss. It wasn't exactly 50-50. Let's see. Yeah, it's looking like Taylor had a little bit more usage.
So I mean, it'll go up even if it's 60-40. I'm going to give that to Jonathan Taylor just on skill.
Yeah.
But Zach Moss is still worth a keep. Obviously you're going to have Tony Pollard coming back, so you throw Tony Pollard back in here. Foreman's obviously going to stay. Barkley and James Cook, you're going to stay. So at this point, when I'm rolling this lineup, probably look for a better quarterback than Geno Smith. You have Burrow here if you want to take that chance again. But
yeah, I saw that he did drop Geno Smith.
Okay.
So I pulled up Jonathan Taylor. So I have Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor stats here. Zach Moss had 18 rushing attempts for 57 yards, 2 targets and 1 reception for 5 yards. And then Jonathan Taylor, 18 rushing attempts for 75 yards and a TD. And then 4 targets and 3 receptions for 45 yards. So only 2 more looks target-wise to Jonathan Taylor.
Did you say 18 rushing attempts for
both?
JT or
yeah, for both.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, who had this on their bingo card that this would be what is that? 70. It was a 77 point total. That is nuts.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So I literally lost my week because of point of view, either Kelsey or this. I think it's this. I mean, this game was nuts.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, that'll do it for this recap. Congrats again, Daniel, for the win. But we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.